Oh, what do I want to start with? What's happening, party people? So I've mentioned over the last month of December that the news streams are going to be moving to the first Sunday of the month, today, January the 5th, just to give time for months to actually end, because we had so many instances last year of, the last Sunday of the month would still be, a week. There'd still be like a week left in the month, or like we would do these right before big announcements, like state of plays or directs or something. And so we're rolling it into the next month going forward, so it's going to be the first Sunday of the month instead of the last Sunday of the month, first Sunday for the previous month. So being January 2025, oh god, January 2025, it's time to wrap up December 2024. And I think, what do I want to start with? Because I have some, basically bullet points on my phone, that, it's not that they're nothing, but it's just, speculation, or, oh, here's something that's going on, or, not enough for an article. Like, I guess I'll just start with one here. Nintendo updated their, FAQ, their frequently asked questions, specifically in their piracy section, talking about what does and doesn't constitute piracy for Nintendo, and they have ruled that, or in Nintendo's opinion, that even if you own a copy of the game, creating an emulation of your own copy is still piracy to them. Even though you bought the license or the copy, it is infringing on, according to Nintendo, it is infringing on the copyright, infringing on the license to, no one cares about Nintendo's thoughts on piracy. That's fair. Oh yes, in Nintendo's opinion, they can eat shit. Go be lame in Japan. Yeah, so, specifically, the thing that's interesting is this FAQ section, in Nintendo of America's FAQ section for piracy. This section opens with, you might be thinking about the digital, no, not the Digital Millennium Act, not the DMCA. I think it's just called the Copyright Act. It was like a 1976 act that has since been amended all the way up until like 2021, I think was the last time this thing was amended. Article 6 of this Copyright Act talks about like the parameters for owning copyright, and since Nintendo owns the copyright, they can make as many copies of their game as they want on Switch cartridges, or I guess this is more so for older games. Stick with their ass is gonna speed bagging the uvula at this rate? Hell yeah, probably. Well, so the Article 6 of the Copyright Act lays out parameters for who owns copyright and what they can do with that copyright, like making a bunch of copies and selling them through legal markets. And then Section 17 is about the digital, I read through the Copyright Act just to see what they were talking about. Section 17 of it talks about computer programs that you have purchased for personal use, and it goes into it's a perfect balance amount of W's and L's they take as a company. It's incredible because in terms of PR stuff, I feel like all of last year was a series of blunders for Nintendo's PR, in my opinion. Because what they would do is they would do some like legal or bureaucratic bullshit, like all the Pal World stuff, the copyright stuff that they were pulling all last year. Like that was a bunch of PR blunders. But they started doing exactly what I said they would do when the Pal World stuff first started. What was that, back in the summer when they were like, we've retroactively filed for copyrights for all this stuff, so now we're going to retroactively sue your game that's already out. I still hate all that stuff. Still waiting to hear more on that, but legal proceedings can be slow. But like that was a bunch of PR like BS. They're punching down. When you're Nintendo, taking a shot at any other company except maybe Microsoft and Sony. Maybe. Nintendo still blows them out of the water financially, you know, with some of the most lucrative anythings ever. But I guess Sony and Microsoft would be the instances where I don't consider it punching down, even with where Sega's at, which we'll actually get to Sega later. Like, even going after Sega at this point is punching down for Nintendo. Nintendo has absolutely no humility. They are not humble in the least. They're like, we want to own all of it, which is disgusting. But they tried to, it would be like one bad PR thing, and then they would sweep it under the rug with a really cool release, you know? What was it? Echoes of Wisdom was the new Zelda game. And then they would announce new games and be like, oh no, don't talk about the Power World stuff. Pokemon ZA is coming out, which, yes, I contain multitudes. I can be mad at Nintendo for what they do and still be excited for their franchise releases. I'm still excited for Legend ZA, despite the fact that I know it was a smoke and mirror tactic of, look over here, ignore this. I think the only props you can give to Nintendo as a company, I don't see their devs getting treated horribly. Yeah, there's a lot of, everything that I've heard about the internal culture at Nintendo, Game Freak is another issue. Game Freak and their model for how they just kind of shat the bed with Pokemon and how they're just half-assing Pokemon at this point. Like, when an executive at Game Freak actually says, it's Pokemon, we don't need to be innovative, you know, it's Pokemon, we can phone it in, essentially. Like, that's another thing entirely. But internally, at Nintendo, I have heard, and again, check your sources, but I have heard that it is a very respectable place to work at. You know, people are treated fairly, they are equitable, you know. They have a statement internally of like, when we say Nintendo is for everyone, we mean everyone, and this could all be a facade. We don't know. None of us work at Nintendo. None of our uncles work at Nintendo. Part of me hopes that the main culprits are overzealous legal team, but I know that's copium on steroids. Yeah. It's I don't know. It's just something to be careful about for Nintendo. When they say that, you know, even if you own the game, making a backup copy of your own game, you know, it's still like, play it on legal, you know, Nintendo hardware. And another thing in that FAQ about piracy was like, what if a game is no longer available? You know, like you shut down the Wii store, the Wii U store, you shut down. My uncle does. He says Silksong will be switched to exclusive 3-hour lesbian sex scene. Let's go. Uncle Nintendo rides again. The hell was I just talking about? Oh, in the Nintendo FAQ on piracy. Somebody, or not somebody, but in a frequently asked question is about, you know, hey, you shut down the Wii store, the Wii U store, the DS store, the 3DS store. These games are no longer available. They aren't a legal authority to ask their opinion on the retro game market. Exactly, and that's the other thing is, hey, these games aren't available anymore. You know, how do you expect us to play them legally? And Nintendo, in Nintendo's section, it basically says if a game is no longer available legally, tough tiddlywinks. We've decided which games are important, and they're available on the virtual store on Nintendo, or part of like Nintendo's what was that? Nintendo Online Plus subscription, their thing where it's like, oh, you can play online and also have the retro game library. Nintendo, the Switch's retro game library that you can pay subscription for. They basically said, we've decided which ones are the important ones, and those are the ones you're allowed to play. If it's not available on current hardware, if it's not available legally, Tough tiddlywinks. What's that? You like Professor Layton in the Curious Village? Get fucked. I don't know. I'm hoping with all of the Switch leaks that are coming around, I'm hoping that the Switch follow-up, the new Switch DS, Super XL, whatever, it looks like a dual-screen Switch. You know, it looks like when it's out of the dock, it can, like, slide up, and it looks... Again, like, these are all parameters from third-party companies that make Switch peripherals. It's like companies that are making, like, carrying cases for the Switch, or companies that are making protective cases, you know, when you're holding it if you drop it, you know, shock-proof casing for the Switch and stuff. All third-party Switch products. They've released some schematics, or like, here are some dimensions for the Switch. And again, like, we'll see it for real when it releases, but fingers crossed that DS games will actually stand a chance, right? Do the 3DS cartridge thing? They put a growth on the side and the new system. Oh yeah, I think because they have stated that it will be backwards compatible with Switch games. But there will also be games, you know, going forward, you know, that are, if it does have two screens, I don't know, you know, and I don't like speculating a whole lot when it comes to hardware like this, you know, or even like games, you know, it's always fun to, you know, if they did a sequel to this game, what would the sequel be like? But like, if that shit is happening, they'll show us when they're ready, you know. I'm always of the belief that nothing should ever be shown off before it's ready, which is why I'm so fucking mad when we're shown a CGI trailer for a game with no gameplay, or worse yet, just a logo, and it says, coming in 5 years. Fuck off. You had nothing to show. Shut up. Speaking of shut up, you have nothing to show, Ubisoft. Remember Beyond Good and Evil 2? They sure don't. So 90% of large game announcements. Yeah, no, that shit pisses me off so much. Anyway, Ubisoft shareholders in... is this... There we go. Ubisoft shareholders in talks over possible buyout terms. So this broke a month ago. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the date. So it's the 5th right now. So this was a month ago. And basically the long and the short of it is the family that owns Ubisoft wants to sell their majority share, but maintain control. They want to own nothing. Basically, they want to own none of it, still be in a position of power. I don't understand who they think will go for this, you know? Hey, do you want to own a majority share of a large... Like, Tencent is currently the second largest shareholder in Ubisoft. Yeah, no, I don't understand. Yeah, the Guillemot family indicated they would like to retain control over the company, which also has all these games. There was something... we remain committed to making decisions in the best interest of all our stakeholders. In this context, we have already indicated the company is also reviewing all its strategic options. So, like, they're basically asking people, like, hey, do you want to buy our shares and gain nothing from it? You'll have a nice piece of paper that says you own a majority share in Ubisoft, but the control that majority share comes with, we will maintain. But you're just giving us all this money to say that you own... I can see maybe Tencent going for this, but I have no idea what they want or why they think this is... Like, it's not that it's borderline delusional, but like... I have no idea. Ayo, what did I miss? Nintendo updated their FAQ about what they consider piracy, and it doesn't quite line up with like the U.S. Copyright Act or the DMCA even a little. Basically, Nintendo is still trying to be super restrictive on, like, even if you own a copy of the game, backing up your copy under the Copyright Protection Act of, you know, archival, the archival stipulation in Section 17 of the Copyright Act 1976. We don't agree with that. That's a US thing, and we're a Japanese company. It's still piracy to us. And also, if a game is no longer available because we shut down all of our virtual stores, tough tiddlywinks, we've decided which games are the important ones to keep, and they're available on the Switch store or through the Switch online virtual library, their virtual the virtual console thing. They patented writing animals. Nintendo deserves to go extinct. 100%. But basically, the bottom line is, like, Nintendo is only punching down. Nintendo being the largest, you know, having the most lucrative franchise ever. Nintendo is probably the most lucrative media company ever, you know, just in the realm of video games and all of their merchandising. I would say, I would not be surprised if Nintendo outshines, like, all major, maybe not Disney. But, like, it's definitely punching down to any other games company, you know, Sega, Sony, and Xbox, maybe not, but, like, they make so much more money than all these companies. I was legit gonna have writing animals in this latest project, but I don't want to get sued into submission. I mean, I think all indie devs need to be careful right now because Nintendo is out for blood, but I just think they want to make an example out of Pal World. I don't think they're going to be going for every single indie dev. I think they just want to make an example out of Pal World, which, again, I'm hoping Pal World wins this lawsuit. We'll see. I'm watching with great anticipation to see how this deal plays out. Yeah, Nintendo Switch, if I wanted your opinion on international copyright laws, would have asked, exactly. But yeah, I don't know what the Guillemot family wants from this, because they want a bunch of money and also to retain the control that their majority share holds. It's a little delusional. This is an interesting one. So, Japanese credit card companies, Visa of Japan, they are putting restrictions up on what people can buy, is sort of the larger scope of this. So the headline reads that Visa of Japan CEO says disabling card payment for legal adult content is necessary to protect the brand. To me, as intelligent as Ubisoft business decisions. Well, they also said, we know what's best for the company. Clearly, you've really been just fucking knocking it out of the park. So this is, it's a little iffy to me because, again, like, legal adult content. Yeah, those NFT games made how much again? They lost you how much? But so it's not. This feels like a slippery slope because when you're putting a kibosh on, like, the legal adult content, you can probably get a lot of pearl clutchers on your side. Trying to censor porn will always be funny because it will always fail. Exactly. But, like, I feel like in terms of protecting the brand, you will get a lot of pearl clutchers on your side because it's like, oh yes, we must, you know, adult content bad. But yeah, it's gonna fail. These things are so widespread. But the scary thing is that what is happening here. No, guys, we'll get rid of it. Just like how I got rid of prostitution, the world's newest trade. What is happening here that is concerning is that the banks where you are keeping your money are telling you how to spend that money, is what is happening here. If you give them an inch, they'll take the whole ruler, you know? It's, again, it feels like a slippery slope. If we don't clock this now and do something about this, and we just let this kind of slide, is nowhere near the ball, Clutchers. I genuinely, it doesn't matter to me, you know, why are you paying for porn? It's free. Society has a furry emergency button. Oh yeah. But, like, I saw the visual novel crowd was very angry about this, and some visual novels be called tame or only online are effectively unbuyable because of this. Yeah. Mew is the one that brought this to my attention, because there was, like, 2 versions of a visual novel. The aristocratic furries will save the economy with commissions. Japan is scared of that. Yeah, because all you're gonna see in terms of the receipt on the credit card from the card company is like, commission of what? But there was like 2 versions of a visual novel, one with adult content and one without adult content, and both versions are unavailable now. Like, there is a safe for work version of the visual novel, and it's one of those things where, like, when the naughty stuff happens, it, like, fades to black and comes back. You know, there's no adult content. It's alluded to, but nothing. So yeah, it's just concerning that banks can now just decide when and where you spend your money. Again, like, I don't want to be I don't want to be a doomsayer, but in an all possible world scenario, this is a slippery slope. Where banks can just decide how you spend your money. It's crazy how furries be sometimes the most chaotic good hackers out there. We got the no-fly list. Oh my god, that will never not be funny. The person with the little, like, stuffed animal picture of their laptop. It's like, oh my god, we'll invent new money if now money means no porn. I'm curious if they stand their ground on this. Yeah, like, it's something to keep an eye on.
I'm done spending an obscene amount of money on.
Also, does this apply for adult products? One second, let me skip this and it applies to, okay, so Dojinshi manga chain Melon Books, which Dojinshi is basically indie stuff. So, Melon Books is from what I understand, Melon Books is a Japanese hub, like a digital hub for a bunch of independent releases. It's itch.io for Japan. Visual novels, games, all kinds of stuff. Manga. I don't want Gooners to have this kind of spare time. It's interesting. Also, Yoko Taro has weighed in. He's like, this is bullshit. Based Yoko Taro yet again. He always shows up where I least expect him, and it's always incredibly based. A group that knows about slippery thinks it's this. You know what they'll do with no porn? Plan revenge. Revenge. Alright. Yeah, again, like, this isn't... I don't think this is... And again, the issue is that I don't think this is super effective of a lot of people. There's definitely an audience that this is affecting, clearly. There's clearly an audience that this is affecting. But I think the audience that this is affecting is small enough to where a majority of people will let it slide. And the issue is when you let it slide, you've created a precedent where you tell the banks that it is okay that this is happening. And that's where things can really go downhill. I'm just gonna double check, make sure. Okay, I am recording. Just making sure. Speaking of restrictions, don't let the Gunners be bored with their own thoughts. Didn't want speedrunners to be left alone without something to keep them occupied, to be afraid they'd burn the house down. Here's an interesting one. Russia proposes mandatory content labels on authentication of video game purchases, could mean the end of services like Steam and GOG and Epic. So, this is a two-parter. So, the thing that Russia wants, they're trying to implement a legislation where if you're selling a game in their country, I'm legit surprised because of the fundamental difference of sexuality between Christian fundamentalists and Japan. I learned how to burn the house down so fucking fast, homie. So basically, the Russian government wants to put in a thing where video game distributors have to put labels for all of these things on games. Depictions of cruelty, violence, fear, sex, profanity, depictions of alcohol, tobacco, drugs. That's what the ESRB is. This already exists. Is mad that their Russian Xbox clone failed. Can't get Steam to discriminate against Ukrainians. Yeah, all of these things already exist. All of these platforms, GOG, Steam, Epic, all of these platforms already, what they want to do, what Russia wants to do, and again, I will post all of these articles over in the Discord server so people can read through these in their own time later, but basically, the long and the short of it is that Russia wants to force any game being sold in their country to be passed through their own internal review board, so that they are able to, and if it passes through their review board, they're able to put it up or have it be sold through Gosaslugi. And the Gosaslugi online portal is basically a catch-all for anything provided by the government. This is where you find a lot of governmental information of, you know, laws in your area, I think entertainment that is passed by the government, you know, like TV, you know, a lot of that stuff is passed through Gosaslugi. So if it is passed through their legal team, their internal review department, it can then be put up on Gosaslugi. The issue being that apps like Steam, GOG, and Epic, those launchers and online stores, are apps. They're not going through the Russian Google, basically. That's not exactly what it is, but for the sake of brevity, just think of it as sort of like Russian government Google. Russia's government has like pushed Google. Russia's also been pushing against Google in their country. Like they're trying to put restrictions on like Gmail and stuff. Only games that are recommended woke content detector group. This is a great idea. We should invent something like this for TV and movies and music. Yeah. Like basically all of these things already exist, but Russia wants to pass through their team so that, like their government, so that they can put it up for sale on Russian Google, like, you know, TV, movies created by the state, all that stuff. This is allegedly, supposedly, in my opinion, another reach for control. Again, they have a long history of wanting to regulate what is and isn't seen by their people. You know, they have all kinds of censorship in their news cycle, all kinds of things like that. So this is just another bid for control in that sense. But I mentioned that this is a bit of two halves. The other thing that they want to do is require, hey Nintendo, move over Russian, see some of that same shit you are. The other half of this is that they want anybody buying a game to, basically, they're claiming that this is a draft law, that this is only the first draft. It's really insane to me that they're so against liberalism they invented triggers to get triggered. Yeah. So the Russian government is claiming that this is just a draft of the legislation to come, but if it's a draft, why would you publish it on the official website on Gosaslugi? Like, why would it be published if it's just a draft? You know? So it's a little, it's really vague. But the other half of this is that they want every single person buying a game in their country to register officially, basically, like, they want these companies like Steam, GOG, Epic, they want them to require, like, people's phone number or their, like, email address, some kind of, I think ID was an option. Basically, they want to see who is buying what under the guise of, we want to make sure kids aren't buying M-rated games. Which, making sure kids aren't buying M-rated games is wild to me when you don't recognize M-rated games, because again, you don't seem to understand that ESRB exists, and all of these labels are already on games. You know? They're trying to take all of the pressure off of parents, like they're trying to super police all of this stuff, which, you know, again, all of this will be available, or this article will be available in the Twitch, or in the Discord server, which, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a Discord server where all of these articles end up, if you're curious. Well, they're really trying to filter. Yeah, exactly. They're trying to figure out, they're trying to push certain things out of the country. You know, they're trying to make sure certain things aren't sold in the country. And there was a number of, I saw a number of different ways that this could shake out, where these companies just ignore it and continue to operate now illegally in Russia, or they do comply and Russia starts heavily regulating the games that are and aren't allowed in their country, in which case there goes the entire indie dev scene. Certain things getting through, reinventing the ESRB to gain control. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Yeah. I think this will flounder and then cease. I genuinely don't think that any of these companies will cease operating in Russia. We'll see if it goes to court. Yeah. Alright, this was a really funny one. While CEOs got dressed up for the Game Awards, 461 workers at Zenimax Online Studios unionized. So yeah, during the Game Awards on Blue Sky, Zenimax tweeted out that they unionized during the Game Awards. This article is really funny. It's like stealth launching a game during an award ceremony. So this is Rock Paper Shotgun, written by Brendan Caldwell. Again, all of these articles will be available. I've got some from Rock Paper Shotgun, Polygon, IGN. Like, all these articles will be properly cited and sourced over in the Discord server. Stealth launching a game during an award ceremony is cool. You know what's cooler? Stealth launching a union. As many in the games industry settled in for an evening of advertisements and blockbuster backslapping, one group of U.S. workers quietly succeeded in organizing something of their own. Employees at ZeniMax Online Studios launched their union with 461 members. It announced on social media site Blue Sky last night. So yeah, last night would have been December 12th. So during the Game Awards, they announced a union. So fucking cool. I think I know what I've... give nines, yeah. It's actually the first three letters of ignorant. I don't remember. I think it was, I first heard that from, like, my mom, because my mom, who also plays games, sometimes she'll look up guides if she's trying to figure out what to do, and a lot of times IGN is just pushed to the top of the Google filter. And I think I first heard it from my mom, where, like, she was scrolling on her phone trying to find a guy. She's like, I don't want to go to IGN. You can't spell ignorant without IGN. And was trying to find, like, some other, like, guide for what to do in a game, which, like, is so funny. GameFAQs rise up. Oh my god. Remember before any guide online, they would have ASCII art of, like, the game logo? There'd be, like, really cool ASCII art of the game logo for the guide. That was awesome. It's so funny. It's the perfect trap. gesturing they have to roll it up. God. Oh, to roll with it. Anyway, yeah. With a union, you're looking forward to collectively pushing for improvements to the workplace, including job security, protections against AI, better pay and benefits, and an industry that we're deeply passionate about. So, Zenimax Online, their big thing that they've been working on for years has been ESO, Elder Scrolls Online. I played it at launch, and I didn't like it. Now that they're union, ASCII video game names, that is? Yeah, I understood. I gotcha. I might actually consider, like, picking up ESO again. Just because of this. Now that they are union, now that they are working on protections for themselves and their employees. Game still mid. For a while, like I said, I played it at launch and I didn't like it, but a year or two later, a group of my friends were playing for a while, like kind of a, once or twice a week, people would get online like a big Discord call and they would play a bunch of ESO. And they apparently liked it. It's just so different. It really forces you down skill trees of like, okay, you're playing as a rogue, you're gonna be a rogue. You're only gonna have skills available to you as a rogue. And at least that's when I played it. I have no idea. Played it like a year ago. It's sad that it's mid. Didn't love it now. Definitely better than beta and 1.0. That's fair. So long as it's gotten better. But yeah, this is just really cool. This is just really cool and really funny. Oh yeah. This one was interesting to me. It's cut off a little bit, but the body of the article is lined up. So this says, Live and Learn musician suing Sega over ownership of iconic Sonic the Hedgehog song. So, Johnny Gioli, basically, the lyricist and singer of Crush 40. I load the MMO loop. People who don't probably would like that game. That's fair. I don't think I ever really got into an MMO. Like, that's just a online genre that never caught me. Like, I've played MOBAs. I've played hero shooters. But, like, MMOs... No, that's not true. When I was a child, I played Wizard 101, but, like, the free version that only goes up to, like, level 10 and has, like, one world in it. I played the free version of Wizard 101. Oh, God. That just, like, uncrusted something in my memory. 420 each time someone presses play on one of Johnny's songs on every platform. Yeah, so here's the thing that's weird to me. So he explains in this article, Johnny does, that when he worked with Sega in the early days of Crush 40, like for Sonic Adventure, his only contact with Sega was Jun Sonoe, the other half of Crush 40. The guy who did all of the, like, the guitar, like, who did a lot of the instrumentation. And what would happen is Jun Sonoe would send some demos off to Johnny, and Johnny would do the full mix. He would do the final mix for the whole song. And he claims that working with Sega on later games, Sega owns the masters for later Crush 40 songs, but not specifically Live and Learn. He says Live and Learn, specifically the master recording and composition of Live and Learn is his. Really liked, played until shut down, very familiar with a lot of models. MMOs usually feel shallow at best, have 2 or 3 fun gimmicks per class, but doing that for 100 hours fucking sucks. That's fair. Every month for a long ass time. It just doesn't seem like my kind of... I don't like the idea of subscription-based games. A subscription-based service of a lot of games, like Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, where I have access to a library and I'm able to just passion, and it is lovely. I don't... Yeah, no, like, paying a monthly subscription or an annual subscription for access to one game, and when a majority of the content is that same repetitive grind, doesn't make some fucking bank, it won't last. That's, yeah. And I mean, that's how it works. If you, depending on the model, you know, if it's not a purchase, if it's a subscription, or if it uses microtransactions, like, you need some sustainability. Anyway, it sits with me a little weird that, like, he claims that he didn't know that Live and Learn was everywhere, and he was only made aware of it by a fan. Like, even if he doesn't play a lot of games, like, it's interesting to me that this is coming out around the time of Sonic. Yeah, Live and Learn is in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. It was in, like, the Sting was in, like, the trailer and stuff. Like, it's very prominent, and it's interesting that this is coming out when Sonic the Hedgehog 3, you know, was one of the biggest movies of, you know, it was top of the movie, top of the box office for a couple weeks. It's usually due to not living in the same region. Maybe. Played a lot of fun Diablo-like ones. No one wants to buy cash shop clothes for a mini MMO. Yeah, that's another issue. But this, I'm not saying he's not earned. I'm not saying thought no one liked his music. Jet Set Radio Future, because in Japan it was a flop. Interesting. It could just be a disconnect of, you know, he's American and this is a Japanese country. He's suing Sega of America. But it's just interesting to me because they've done Crush 40 shows for decades, you know. I'm not saying he's not earned his due. I'm not saying that he's not in the right here. I just think the timing is incredibly convenient. The timing is incredibly coincidental. Considering that Live and Learn is probably going to reach an incredible high in the coming year, with Sonic the Hedgehog 3 doing incredibly well in theaters, and once it comes to VOD and physical release, I think the game is about to reach an all-time high again. But I don't know. I think this is a wash. I will always take the side of big companies, or I will always take the side of people over big companies. Immediately reverse that. Y'all know what I meant. Like, I am on his side in this. I just don't know how truthful he's being about his ignorance. You know, I think, because he got paid, I think he said he got paid like $3,000 for Live and Learn. Hang on. Could be more than $500,000. Where did it go? It might have been a different article I was reading, but he claims that he was paid. Here we go. He was paid $3,000 by Sega in 2001 to write the lyrics for the then untitled song, which eventually became Live and Learn. And I mean, like, yeah, given how big the song has gotten, especially in the butt rock community, yeah, that's like $3,000. Man's been ignorant for almost 2 decades at this point. It's, yeah, like, I don't know how truthful he's being. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, because $3,000 for a song like Live and Learn, like one of the most recognizable songs for one of your most recognizable franchises, like, oh, If that is a link, dude, it's got to go over in the Discord server. Again, we have, yeah. Oh shit, this again? All good, all good, all good. Anyway. Today, or $3,000 in 2001. He was paid $3,000 in 2001, which, inflation calculator. Load, damn you. So, $3,000. So it's about $5,000 today. Little more, like $5,300. Which is not awesome, considering how big the game... And I guess they couldn't have predicted how big the song would have been. I'm glad that moment is preserved forever. What moment? Oh. My little foobar, my little slip up. Yeah. Yeah. That's basically it. He's suing the company for using a song that he feels he owns the rights to. Freudian slip. Shut up, dude. No, yeah, no, again, like it's another lawsuit where I feel like I don't know if there's like a I'll root for Johnny in this lawsuit, you know. Get your bag. But I don't know how truthful he's being, but I wouldn't speculate, you know, on things that I know nothing about, and I am not a lawyer. I actually had a couple more little things on my phone here, little notes here. Just before we move on, hang on, we'll scroll up so we can look at Sonic and Shadow here. The FTC is currently undergoing an antitrust investigation of Microsoft over the last couple decades with how they've been bundling all of their services, you know, the Microsoft suite of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all that stuff. The FTC is investigating any kind of... Is this a monopoly that they're getting into with... Like, I think Microsoft secured like a big government contract because of the bundle. It basically, the reason I'm bringing this up is because as an incentive for a lot of other Microsoft products, Microsoft will say, we'll also give you a month of Game Pass. Like, Microsoft just loves bundling all of their things together, and I'm curious if, depending on how the FTC looks into this, I don't think it will, but there's a non-0% chance where Game Pass as a whole, as a subscription service, could be seen as a bundle in the FTC's investigation. Just an interesting thing. Another one, real quick, is that Apple is in an antitrust lawsuit right now with 10,000 plus developers for antitrust or monopolistic practices with their App Store, with the Apple App Store and all the regulations that go into putting things up on Apple products, be it like MacBook, iPhone, you know, any of the iOS services or any of the iOS products. It is an antitrust class action lawsuit. It started with, I think, like 2,000 developers in the UK, and it's now grown to 10,000 worldwide developers. And it is a class action lawsuit for $1 billion, which Apple can absolutely pay for. But like they wanted to get this thrown out. They called it frivolous. You know, like, oh, Google has their store. Amazon used to have an app store, you know, like, we're not the only ones with an app store, but a judge has said that they're gonna have to, like, fight this one in court. They wanted to get it thrown out, and it will not be thrown out. A video I saw, I think Mew linked the video. The person that was talking about this, where I first heard about this and looked up my own stuff, they were talking about how Apple has lost lawsuits like this in the past. Lawsuits against, I think, Epic. Epic sued them and won for antitrust practices on their own hardware, like on Apple products. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, like, I don't think it was large enough to really bring an article. It was just, like, a note of saying, like, hey, this is a thing. Because Apple was also, like, weirdly... Wasn't it Apple that was like, oh, you can play video games on our phones. You can play Resident Evil 7 in stunning 4K on our phones. Like, who would do that? So, I would be curious who all is involved in this lawsuit at this point. But, moving on. Frostpunk creators cancel Project 8, lay off staff amid concerns that narrative-driven, story-rich games don't sell. Puts away my eye, Resident Evil 7. So, this fucking blows. That's basically the whole story right there. That's great ABS? Yeah. Basically, hang on, who's the company? 11-Bit Studios. They canceled a game. In terms of the layoffs, they did, as a consequence, number of 8-bit or 11-bit staff members are going to lose their jobs, although at least half of the affected development teams are being offered the chance to move to other projects, including a few unannounced ones. So, this is another instance of a company looking at the current market, and instead of saying what's good for games, they're looking at what sells. And what sells is live service games, Story-rich games don't sell. Well, president of the management board said, however, it was conceived under very different market conditions, talking about the canceled Project 8, when narrative-driven story-rich games held stronger appeal. I think that we all know games are for everyone, and there are going to be games for someone. There's going to be a game out there for someone that appeals to somebody. Whether it's a sports game, whether it's a live service, hero shooter, FPS, whether it's a MOBA, whether it's a battle royale, whether it is a story-driven single-player experience, whether it is, God forbid, an offline video game. There's always going to be something for somebody. Unknown narrative game was projected to compete with Call of Duty Black Ops, but somehow failed to live up to expectation. Management is floored. Because these games, it's apples and oranges. I don't know if Frostpunk 2 did well. It might have stumbled harder than they were expecting and worried about trying a new IP as an indie studio. Maybe. It's just frustrating. This goes into a wider media issue where things will either be almost done, like, oh, this thing is well on its way, development is going great on it, people are locked in, we have a great workflow going, we're projected to meet all of our quarterly, milestones, everything is going great, but the market. AAA killed AA games? 100%. We don't have AA games anymore. We either have indie games or AAA games. I fully believe that. Feels like an excuse. Live service games have been in an active decline as of late. Yup. Main live services that are around are the ones with pre-established or free-to-play frameworks. Helldivers being an exception. Yeah. And even then, Sony tried to kill Helldivers themselves. I think this is cowardice on the part of the company with a lack of faith in their team and their ideas. I think this shows a lack of faith in a player base. I think this shows a lack of faith in the market as a whole. And when you just play it safe like this, you stagnate. Either someone's grossly mismanaging funds or Frostpunk 2 didn't get the numbers they wanted. I think maybe Frostpunk 2... I know nothing of Frostpunk. I'm a big, like, board game enthusiast. I love tabletop games. I genuinely saw the Frostpunk board game before I knew there was a Frostpunk video game. I thought the Frostpunk video game was based on the Frostpunk board game. So it could be an instance of Frostpunk 2 maybe didn't innovate as much, and it was just more of the same. Maybe they played it too safe, and Frostpunk 2 didn't do well because of it. So now, they're worried about playing it safe didn't work for them, and so now, in a moment of delusion, they're worried that new things will also not do well, when that is, again, apples and oranges. Didn't really want to bother with 2 since it was already kind of niche. That's fair. I think that this is a huge shot in the foot that 11-bit has done themselves. Again, if people are curious, Marcel, their PR liaison for this article, during the COVID-19 pandemic, stabilizing the development team proved particularly difficult, yet progress continued. COVID was such a, horrible blow to the world for many different reasons. But in terms of the game industry, what happened was we saw an incredible incline in the industry as a whole, and Xbox has even admitted they overreached and they bought up all these companies because we were only going up. The bubble will never burst. We're seeing the effects of the bubble bursting now. How much of a planned 4D underwater chess play Lethal Company was. Who knows? Maybe I'll play the first game, then I'll get my hands in these bag 11 for more Frostpunk. Bubbles always burst. Yeah, so I think we're going to be seeing... I think the rest of the decade into 2030 is going to be a really bad time for the games industry. I don't think, just on the whole, I don't think AI is going to be as big of an issue. I think it is definitely going to be a worry, and I think it's going to be an issue, but I think the stupidity of management is going to be the root cause. AI will be a symptom. Certain management, certain producers thinking that AI will be a cheap shortcut will definitely be a symptom of stupid management, but I think genuinely incompetent producers, managements, heads of companies will hurt the industry for the rest of the decade. Leads indies to make Lethal Company and not them. Yeah. In general, you see a lot of companies across all media playing it safe. 2023, God. 2023. An animated movie was released to Netflix called Nimona, which, I'm gonna be real, I only thought Nimona was okay. Didn't grab me. I didn't love it. But somebody pointed out that Nimona was pitched to Disney. Disney had the chance to jump on Nimona, and Nimona did incredibly well. It was nominated for dozens of awards. It received tons of recognition and accolades. It was such a, people were floored by this movie. Disney had the chance to pick it up, but instead they decided to make Wish, which was bad and received no accolades, no rewards, nothing. Tad more optimistic, I believe AI will be a problem, but I believe some of the core people will keep it afloat. Indie, as much as I hate to say it, Nintendo and Sony. Yeah, I don't think AI will be a problem across the industry. I genuinely don't think that. I think that did well, the fact middle finger Disney as a bonus. Yeah. So I think the root of the problem is incompetence from people in charge. And just one of the symptoms is AI. I don't think that AI will be an issue across the the whole. But I think if we look at all of the issues that have come up in the decade so far, if it's piss poor management of finances, piss poor management of teams, misreading the market with the boom that, COVID, COVID caused a boom in the game industry. Sales went up because people were at home. So misreading the market, mishandling of artificial intelligence, like all of the different things that have been an issue, all have the same root cause, and that's fucking management. That's the producers. That's the people in charge. Just absolute incompetence from top to bottom. Is there becoming Xbox? Is their roots mainly? They're like the most Western Japanese-based company. So there was a again, going back to tone-deaf management and tone-deaf producers a couple of years ago, or 2023, yeah. There was a producer at Sony who said Sony doesn't have enough original IPs for movies, even though they own Columbia Pictures and a bunch of other, whether it's movies, games, music, Sony doesn't own enough original stuff. And that same producer, since the release of Astro, which showed off dozens, if not like almost, I don't think it got up to triple digits in terms of how many IPs. I definitely don't think it got that close. But we'll say 50-something PlayStation franchises, or at least franchises associated with PlayStation. Certain like Spyro and Crash are no longer PlayStation exclusives. They're now owned by Xbox and Activision. But Crash and Spyro were still shown off in Astro. They showed, it's no, actually, PlayStation has decades of really good franchises, and that same producer who said that PlayStation and Sony doesn't have enough came back and said, look, we know that PlayStation has a huge vault of IPs. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten about all of the IPs that PlayStation owns. But again, just pissed at management. Real quick, I wanna read off another just note on my phone here. This is something that surprised me. Sony has some fumbles PSN account requirements, releasing paid hero shooter, not using backwards compatibility more. Yeah, the PSN requirements is a big one. I would say that's their biggest black spot on their record for me is basically even though they went back on Helldivers requiring PSN, they still delisted the game in all of those regions that don't have PSN. Pretty shitty. Yeah, no, not cool. Yeah, so another thing I have here is from Google and the Stadia. This surprised me. This was something that Mew brought up. Google is still supporting the end-of-life program that they've put in place for the Stadia. How many years ago did the Stadia die? Hang on. When did Google Stadia shut down? January of 2023. So 2 years ago is when Google officially shut down Stadia. Part of the end-of-life program is that they are offering full refunds for all of the hardware, full refunds for all of the software that you purchased on their streaming box. And they also have a software update for the controller for the Stadia, turning it from a Stadia exclusive controller to an all-purpose Bluetooth controller to be used for anything that accepts a Bluetooth controller. And they keep expanding the date on this. That the end-of-life plan, where you can still get your refund, still get this update for the controller, is now running through until December 31st, 2025. They keep pushing the date, which I think is wild. They literally could have just pulled the plug and run away and called it a loss. But they're still supporting this end-of-life program for their failed system, which cool. Didn't expect it. I thought that when the Stadia died, it was like maybe a month. January to February, maybe until summer. Maybe give them 4 to 6 months. That's pretty cool. All right. Another. Okay. Let's do this article first. Let's do this article first, and then we'll go to the other one I just saw. Speaking of live services, Sega is thinking about re-entering the market, this time rivaling Xbox with a subscription service. With Sonic, Persona, and Yakuza under its belt, Sega thinks making a subscription service like Game Pass would be very interesting. Yeah, Sega? No, bad Sega. So their reasoning is that, and this was you're finally getting W, stop pushing it. Yeah. So they announced a couple of years ago, I think at a Summer Games Fest, it was either Summer Game Fest 2024 or 2023, they announced a bunch of their IPs are coming back. They announced either a remake or a reboot of like Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio or Jet Grind Radio, depending on your region. Just at the Game Awards, they announced Virtua Fighter's coming back. Virtua Racer, I think they announced with Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio. Like, they announced a bunch of their IPs are coming back, which is huge. And their logic, this was a different article I was reading. Actually, maybe it's mentioned in this article. Blue Blur, Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, Yakuza, Total War, Football Manager, recent game nominee, Metaphor ReFantazio. Basically, what their hope is with their 3 pillar franchises, must be a Sega idea. No, like, Rizen's right in that Sega is really racking up W's. Their Sonic movies are doing incredibly well. RGG is cranking out quality games at a consistent rate. Fucking Metaphor ReFantazio, apparently they knocked it out of the park with that one. Like, all of these franchises are doing incredibly well, and their goal is with their 3 like pillar franchises, those being Sonic, Persona, Yakuza, or I guess Sonic, the wider Shin Megami Tensei, and Like a Dragon. They're hoping that with these 3 consistent, very good franchises that are making them lots of money, they're able to look more closely into their dormant IPs. Basically, they're doing what PlayStation promises they'll do in the future. PlayStation's like, oh no, we swear we haven't forgotten about our franchises. Meanwhile, Sega is saying, oh yeah, no, here's like 5 specific franchises that haven't had an entry in a while. We're doing these again. You know, they were fully like, yeah, no, we also know we have a bunch of IPs that people love, and here are some that we are working on. Which is awesome. This is, I think if anybody could do it, like any I guess third party, you know, that isn't a console manufacturer like Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox. Sega also forgot about them for a long time. Yeah, but better late than never. You know, they could be good. I want to give Sega the benefit of the doubt. I genuinely, over the past like couple years, genuinely, so my partner, huge Sega fan. Sonic, Persona, Yakuza, 3 of her, like, I'm not going to say they're like 3 of her favorite franchises, but she plays tons of all these games. And since we got together, I've grown a huge appreciation for Sega. To do well for like 3 releases once they start making money, fuck things up. Sega's the reason why RGG games now have double-digit purchasable content. That's bullshit. Pokes its own franchise. Yeah, it's like every now and then it's like, oh yeah, Halo exists. Halo? Do people still like and they'll toss out, they'll just tell, they'll be like, hey, Call of Duty, can we take your game and put Master Chief in it and call it a Halo game? That's how it feels. Again, I'm not a big Xbox person, but at least that's what like Halo Infinite looked like to me. I don't know, maybe Halo Infinite was good. I'll never know. But like, since my partner and I got together, I've grown a huge appreciation for Sega as a company with their games. Like Sonic, I like some Sonic games. Love Persona games. Now, to be fair, I only watched her play the Like a Dragon games, the Yakuza games. Technically speaking, due has to be given. The Risen in chat here needs to be given his due. I would not have played them if it wasn't for his donations. But yeah, RGG, the Like a Dragon games, Yakuza games, also fucking incredible. Xbox is the plant owner, just keeps killing them, buying new plants, just a bunch of dead plants in the backyard, including Plants vs. Zombies, which I think is also owned by Xbox. That was huge for a while, and then wasn't. Took Capcom to go through one of the worst villain arcs and being able to come back to glow up with the glow up they've had recently. Yeah, Capcom is coming back. Isn't Plants vs. Zombies EA? Plants vs. Zombies video game. Yeah, Capcom had a good few years worth of blood sacrifices, then reincarnated. Un moment. Developed by PopCap Games. Okay, but who owns PopCap Games? It is a subsidiary of EA. Okay. I was there for when Capcom pioneered on-disc DLC. Oh, God. Oh, it's not good. You have to put in put in another disc. You have to put in Undead Nightmare to play Undead Nightmare. Ah. Anyway. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. I think this is a bad idea. How many subscription services is too many? We've passed that threshold a long time ago. Consarin, author of this article. We passed that threshold a long time ago. Street Fighter V, Tekken, launched with 32. Promised 16 characters, all were already in the game. Street Fighter versus Tekken, launched with 32. Promised 16 characters, already in the game. And like that, history was made. Capcom crowned itself Demon King. Who was it? It was Konami, right? I love not owning the things I spend money on. Oh, it's great, right? I hate subscription services so much. I hate them. Sega maybe bring back all the retro games you removed from Steam instead of making a damn service. Yeah. It was Konami, right? That like wasn't doing games for a while and they decided to do pachinko machines. It was 16 additional characters. Sorry if that was messy. It was. I understand now, though. Yes, I understand now. Anyway, buy a subscription, take out a loan, buy it on credit. You'll get there eventually. This is all bad. Konami, no, Konami mentioned. All right. Redeemed. Patches has redeemed. Read me a Yu-Gi-Oh card. 16. Alright. Konami mentioned. Hey, Konami's name is on the back of the Yu-Gi-Oh card. Alright, let's shuffle this up. 16. There's one in here that's really funny that I'm hoping to get at some point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Alright, 16. Hit 50 at a midlife crisis, moved to Vegas, made a casino at the cost of burning all bridges and most beloved creatives. Amazonas Hall. Trying to see if there's no good way to get it to... There's no good way to get it to focus on that. Amazonas Hall. This is a permanent trap card or perpetual. You know, it stays on the field. When this card is activated, you can take one Amazonas monster from your graveyard or your face-up extra deck and either add it to your hand, or if it is a pendulum monster, place it in your pendulum zone. If a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field while you control an Amazonas monster card, except during the damage step, you can target one of those opponent's monsters, gain life points equal to its attack. You can only use this effect of Amazonas Hall once per turn. The hollow effect makes it so hard to see. Yeah. Yeah, so it's good for getting a monster back from the graveyard, and it also gets you some life points, which in Yu-Gi-Oh! Life points are just a commodity to be traded for wins. Life points don't matter in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like we're seeing something so beautiful the camera can't understand. Alright, yeah, just set that aside. Alright. Anyway, moving on. Alright. This one, not that it made me mad, but this is probably the biggest press X to doubt of the day for me. Catley. So, at the Game Awards, this game was shown off. For people who don't remember, this game was shown off at the Game Awards, and immediately everybody was like, oh, this has AI written all over it. Like, what is that cat? What are those purple things coming out of the cat? That's not real. What are those shapes? What are those shapes? So this is a game launching on Steam, Switch, and the Apple Watch. That's not a thing. Games aren't launched on the Apple Watch. And why just the Apple Watch? Why just not on the iOS, you know, marketplace? So, I'm getting AI connectable vibes. Yeah, so everybody was super convinced, like, oh, this has to be AI bullshit. Apparently not, is the thing. So, the people creating this company, what was it? Super Authentic. They are claiming that this is not there's no AI, there's no, you know, Web3 stuff, there's no blockchain anything. This isn't an NFT game, we promise. Well, here's an update. Prior to joining Super Authentic, one of the co-founders, actually, not just joining Super Authentic, he's listed as a co-founder. It appears as though studio co-founder Kevin Young founded another Hong Kong-based gaming studio called 10th Planet. In 2022, that studio revealed that it was working on 2 blockchain games. One of those was set to be Alien Meow, Digital Cat Metaverse. Basically, this isn't the first time he's done something like this. Super Authentic, is this a shitpost? No, this is real. The description of the project given the article features some of the same talking points advertised in Catley, including highly detailed felines, open world, and an open world of sorts. It's even the same alien cat. This game was explicitly advertised as a Web3 project where players would generate in-game value from cat breeding. It's unclear if the game ever even launched. So, yeah, they're claiming that there's no AI here. What is that? What am I looking at? We promise this isn't AI. We promise this isn't AI. Why is there a crack in one window? Whatever. Is there any more? No more screenshots. But yeah, this looks like some AI bullshit, and they promise like, no, it's not AI, it's not Web3, it's not NFTs, but the co-founder of the studio, co-creator of the game, has his fingers in all those pies. Historically, that's all he's done. I get it, the crack in the window symbolizes the crack they were on when they made it. It's like, this isn't a whole lot of an article, but I would just recommend people look into this. I just wanted to bring this along so people look into this, because there's definitely some shenanigans going on, and this feels like they're absolutely just straight up lying. Bad time. Alright, one more article here, and I also have one more thing to talk about on my phone real quick. This is the last. This one, again, speaking of AI, let's go day before 2025 edition. Wonder how much it is for slots at the Game Awards. I know it's no Super Bowl, but it's still got to be up there in price. I think it's like 200,000. That can't be right. 20,000? Hang on. How much is a spot? How much is an ad spot? I should specify, not just how much is it a ticket to go to the Game Awards. Reports suggest starting point of 250,000, several $100,000 for a 30-second spot. Jeff Keighley opening night live 2025. Jeff Keighley's opening night live, so this is for this year's Gamescom coming up in 2025, to be charging as much as $480,000. Ton of advertising, not just from the direct stream broadcast, but also streamers that react to it live as well. Yep. Anyway, the thing I wanted to talk about on my phone, NVIDIA, for NVIDIA's new GPUs coming this year, NVIDIA's new 50 series of GPUs will use neural rendering, which is tangentially described with AI-enhanced power efficiency and AI upscaling. I don't know how to feel about this. I generally think AI upscaling looks like dog shit. When people say, "Oh, I took this 24 frames per second anime clip. Look, it is now 60 frames per second 4K AI enhanced upscale." That stuff looks like shit. But games are a different breed. People don't get why it's that frame rate. Let's go the 50 series. Don't really care about it. It means the 40 series will get cheaper. That's fair. Games are a different breed because newer games are designed with different frame rates in mind. You know, like you can see, like, oh, some games are designed 30 to 45, 60 frames per second. Some games are designed with no frame capping. And so it's different. You know, I would say for like first-person shooters that makes sense. You know, you want more frames to be faster, shoot faster. But like the animations in like a pixel art game or a sprite-based game, those animations are that speed for a reason. You know, video games vary so much more wildly. So using AI upscaling for some games, like, maybe it's because I already don't respect Call of Duty, and I think Call of Duty is schlock anyway, but I don't mind that Call of Duty could be AI upscaled. Oh, did you see that thing about Marvel Rivals being almost a different game depending on your frames per second? No. Could you send that my way, please? That's interesting. being almost a different game. It's modern day 16 versus 32-bit. Yeah. It's and again, like pixel placement is so particular. You know, a lot of games actually depend on the logic of the FPS. Yeah. Like but I also play on 1080. Yeah, 1080. I think that this, in general, is... If it is... The thing that concerns me is this is a new way of how things will be rendered in games. This is the new GPU, the new line of GPUs, and their rendering program. This isn't like a thing that you can turn on and off. The information refreshes at the same interval where frames are generated. By tweaking it, you literally change the fabric of the game. I mean, in some games, slightly altering the FPS can break NPC logic. Any characters with movement abilities have drastic differences depending on your frame rate. The higher the frame rate, the better they are. I can see that. Yeah, for like physics-based characters, like any of the spider characters that use web swinging, or Iron Man's movement stuff, Storm's movement stuff, Iron Fist's jumps. Huh. Alright. Anyway. My issue isn't that, because in the grand scheme of people using AI, I think that it's like crazy different. It's like crazy difference. Okay. Again, like I'll probably look up a video later, because I am curious. I'm curious. I'd like to see a video of the differences later. Once again, links are not just because we've had issues with people putting in, bots putting in bullshit links and stuff. You can drop them. There should be, maybe in just like general in the Discord server. Yeah, all good. Yeah, you can either send it to me or drop it in general or something, over in the Discord server. But my point, my issue is that this neural rendering is just how the GPUs are going to run. The 50 series is going to run, and it isn't like something you can turn on and off. It isn't like, oh, do you want Nvidia to turn on AI upscaling for your game? No, it's just a thing that's going to be in there, which sucks. That's all there is to it. The last thing, just quick go over. So we did stream a live reaction of the Game Awards 2024. For people who missed it, that VOD is up on the YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can check back through December's videos, and it should be in there somewhere. I'll probably have it linked around here somewhere. But yeah, let's real quick, just a little victory lap, and then we'll call it a stream. Just a quick little victory lap. So Game of the Year winner, Astrobot, you love to see it. Best game direction, Astrobot, you love to see it. Best narrative, Metaphor ReFantazio. I gotta play it at some point. Genuinely interested. Best art direction, Metaphor ReFantazio. Game looks beautiful, like most Persona games, or games by that studio, Most Atlas games look beautiful. No surprise. Best score music, Final Fantasy Rebirth. Don't know how to feel about that, but Final Fantasy music is generally pretty well regarded. Best audio design, I'm pretty sure Hellblade 1 also won for best audio design. And Melina Jurgens also won again for her performance in Hellblade 2. Like, she won for Hellblade 1. These games are pretty consistently good. I was honestly sweating about Elden Ring DLC winning GOTY. Me too. I was I think in my prediction I said that I thought Black Myth Wukong would win. I wanted Astrobot to win. I thought Black Myth Wukong would win because this is a global vote and this game was huge. Black Myth Wukong was huge in China. But turns out the actual public votes for people, like the fan votes, aren't the majority of the votes. There is actually a group of people, there are judges that go into unbiased picks for these awards. As of at least 10 days ago, is it possible to play Bloodborne via... Yep. The emulation stuff for PS4 is getting better. Yeah, I think we talked about this on stream one day, where it's like the Bloodborne PC port is going to come from fans, before Sony even has anything to say about it. But yeah, that's really cool for Melina Juergens again. She just you can tell, like, it's
I can't wait for
it's one of the, like, standout points of that franchise is her performance, and it's great that she's getting recognition for that. Innovations in accessibility. Lost Crown? No idea. Bloodborne fans are relentless? Good. I have no idea what Prince of Persia did for innovations in accessibility, but it's cool that they did something, because this is a cool category to have. I just like that this category exists. Games for Impact. Neva looks beautiful. I am excited to see what that game is about. Rip Zhao. I was really hoping if they had won, it would have been a good thing to put on the little accolade to put on the game to try and get funding for their next Tales of Kansera project. But best ongoing game, Helldivers 2, somehow, even though Sony really tried to kill their baby. Best community support, Baldur's Gate 3, absolutely. I was honestly expecting maybe Helldivers 2 here, because of this game really blew up because of the community. This game got like 2 really good commercials, but in general, I feel like this game spread like wildfire because of word of mouth. Of an emulator just to make Precious Baby playable. Psychopaths are going to upscale re-release frame rate until we have the shit at 8K, 169 Hz. Jesus. Best indie game, Balatro. No surprises there. Genuinely, that is exactly what I thought would happen. Best indie debut. Exactly what I thought would happen. I would have liked something like the Plucky Pacific Drive or the Plucky Squire, but I'm not surprised that Balatro won. I mean, it was a Game of the Year contender. Best mobile game, Balatro again. I'm really happy that games like Zenless Zone Zero and the Pokemon TCG Pocket didn't win AFK Journey. I'm glad Balatro won that category. These awards would have had no meaning. Yeah. VR AR game. I've heard Batman Arkham Shadow is fine. Yeah. I haven't played any of these. I'm not super into VR. Best action game. Sure, this is a really generic category, but sure. Give something to Black Myth Wukong. Best action adventure game. Again, super broad category. Look at all of these games. These are wildly different games. But sure, Astrobot, I'm not complaining. Max Dude chose to spend $80,000 on making Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite good instead of buying the rights, republishing the game. Oh yeah, dude, we talked about this. Yeah, no, we talked about this when I think we had a conversation in chat about, or on stream about how you were like the only person that actually liked Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Marvel vs. Capcom to infinity and beyond. Holy hell, it's a lot of money. Yeah, he hired a full dev team full time to make the game better. Best RPG, no surprises there for ReFantazio. This is honestly where I thought Elden Ring could snag an award. Shadow of the Erdtree could snag an award. But like Dragon's Dogma 2, people who have played it say it's good. People who haven't played it say it's bad because woke. Same with Veilguard, or Dragon Age Veilguard. Like there were some games that just released this year that people just chose to be mad about. Infinite Wealth would have been fun to see an RGG game win. I'm not... Again, like, it's Sega against Sega. Not... some of the pre-mod content still exists in the game if you want to see what a character looked like at launch. Sent a screenshot. Not the anime art in the back. Un moment. You. Yeah, no, Dragon's Dogma, I keep getting Dragon Age Veilguard and Dragon's Dogma 2 mixed up because Dragon RPG, and I've never played them. They're the same game in my... Dragon Age and Dragon's Dogma are the same game in my mind. Never played them. But no, Dragon's Dogma 2 had, the microtransaction for fast traveling. The creator of the game, the director of the game said, I want you to explore my world, so, you know... In that case, if you wanted people to explore your world, just don't have fast traveling at all. But they made fast traveling, Oh, hang on. I'll allow that. Just so fucking ugly, dude. Yeah, talking about, Dude, this is so awful. This is what Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite looked like. This looks terrible. Upscaling FPS problem also ruins the game. Ugly ass game. Also, there's one more Marvel character. What? That sucks. There's not, like, they could have had an even split of Marvel and Capcom characters, but instead there's one more Marvel character, one less Capcom character. That sucks. Yo, Sigma. I see Sigma. Anyway, it was that was launch. Rough. Alright, best fighting game, Tekken 8. I've heard great things about Tekken. I'm not surprised Tekken 8 is good. Posted in general. Oh yeah, the same picture. Awful. Best family game, Astrobot. Not mad. Take that. All of these Nintendo games. Oh my god. 3 Nintendo games. Did Nintendo win any game awards this year? Didn't Astrobot, Metaphor, Final Fantasy. So wait, so this is one for PlayStation, Sega, or I guess Atlas, and Team Asobi if you want to get specific. Senua, that's an Xbox, Ubisoft, Indie, Sony. Baldur's Gate 3 is Larian. Frank West from Dead Rising. What? The dude next to Arthur, top right? That's supposed to be... It's supposed to be Frank West from Dead Rising? I mean... No. What? Oh god. The art in general looks so fucking bad. I just noticed. Is that Morrigan or Lilith? I can never tell them apart. Is that Morrigan or Lilith? She looks so tired. What is wrong with Chun-Li? Yeah, no, the art looks awful. I don't like how this looks. Infinite Improvement? I don't like how these look. And these are an improvement? Like, Ryu looks fine. The Mega Man characters look fine. Arthur looks good. Is that Nemesis or is that Mr. X? Oh, that's sad. That's just like their in-game models. Oh. I guess it is an improvement. I don't know. One is boring and one has odd faces. Anyway. Just had to make me go find it? Yeah. Not icons, it's much better. Okay. In the art behind? Yeah, like, that art of Chun-Li, the full art of Chun-Li looks fine. Anyway, this sucks because, like, nobody on stream is seeing this, unless they're in the Discord server. Kick in the shins is an improvement from a kick in the balls. Alright, anyway, I'm going through, so that's... Helldivers is a Sony win, Larian win for Baldur's Gate, Balattro's an indie win, Balattro's an indie win, Balatro is an indie win. Batman is a WB win. Black Myth Wukong. Astrobot. Metaphor. Tekken. Astrobot. Frostpunk. EA. Helldivers. Fallout won Best Adaptation. Grand Theft Auto 6 Most Anticipated. Queso got Content Creator of the Year. League of Legends winner. Yuck. Dante's character looks... Oh god, he looks terrible. Nintendo didn't win a single award. I'm okay with that. Nintendo didn't win shit. Interesting. Oh yeah, and we also got the really cool announcement of Okami 2. And the whatever announcement of Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet. I'll play it. I'll give Intergalactic Heretic Prophet a chance. It looks like product placement. Doesn't look great. Looks like Party City Dante. Yeah, doesn't look great. Alright, well, that's it. That's all I had planned for today. Tell you what, I'm going to, I'm gonna end the VOD here for, the end of month news stream. And, maybe we can play some Skyrim for a minute. We can play a little Skyrim. It was a quiet year for Nintendo game-wise. They're likely saving everything. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. I'm going to call it a VOD there. I'm going to stop the recording. So, yeah, real quick, let's drop some socials. If you're watching this on YouTube, as usual, all the socials are linked below. That's the Patreon, Instagram, my movie podcast, all that good stuff. It's linked below. The Discord server is not linked below if you want to find the Discord server. If I'm live right now, you can get the Discord server from me or a moderator in chat, or you can find it permalinked in the Twitch bio. But yeah, all of these articles are gonna end up over there. All that good stuff. Oh shit. Yeah, so I'm going to take a break for a few minutes because I need to set the PlayStation back up. I need to get things set back up for streaming. So yeah, we're gonna take a little bit of a break. But if you're watching the VOD, be good, be kind, treat people the way you want to be treated, and I'll catch you in the next one.